Back to receive for Dallas, Kevin Williams and Brock Marion. Williams is number 85. They'd like for him to handle it. The ball blows off the tee. If it does it again, they'll have somebody hold it.
Yeah, I always like these kickers. You know, they're the only guys that can wear a different color shoe. In other words, everyone on the team can wear black shoes or white shoes, but whatever the color is, the whole team has to wear the same color other than a kicker. So, of course, he's the guy that's going to wear one each.
Born to be different.
That makes sense.
Line shot kickoff to Williams. Took it at about the 4, looking for some room. The Eagles have had problems on special teams, and Williams gets a good return, a flag on the play. Outside the 30, about the 34. Mark Woodward made the stop on Kevin Williams. This is going to be against Dallas. Today's referee is Ed Hockley. Number 85 returned it. Number 85 will make a ruling.
Holding by the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Here are the Dallas lineups. Troy Aikman, the quarterback. 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The huge offensive line up in front of him. Tuinei Newton, Derek Kennard at center, Larry Allen and Eric Williams. Emmett Smith and Darrell Johnston, the runners. Williams, Irvin, and Novacek, the receivers. Johnston leads Emmett Smith, who gets a yard perhaps. Hit down. As you look at the Eagle defense, Daniel Stubbs and William Fuller are the defensive ends. Rhett Hall and Andy Harmon in the middle. Govea, the middle linebacker, the ex-Redskin, Romanowski and Thomas. Taylor, who will be on Michael Irvin, Greg Jackson, Zordich, and McMillan in the secondary. Second down. Aikman to throw it. Out of the pocket and down is Aikman. Hit by Stubbs and Rhett Hall.
Hey, this is a pretty good defensive tackle combination with Andy Harmon. He made the first play. Rhett Hall makes the second play. They get a good push, a good interior line. You're going to see Rhett Hall. He's just going to come straight up the middle. You see him, he starts up the middle, then comes from the outside. You see right here, they get Stubbs coming to the inside. Rhett Hall going to the outside. He comes right around the corner and gets the sack.
A little stunt.
This is what Troy Aikman was looking for. But I'll tell you, that coverage by Bobby Taylor was perfect.
3 wide receivers this time. Aikman throwing the screen to Emmett Smith. Flag on the play as Smith goes down short of the 20. Mark Woodward made the stop.
You just get the feeling yesterday, being around the Eagles, the players and coaches, that whether they were going to win or lose, they were going to come out fired out today.
And they
sure have.
And they have. Ed Hockley motions against Dallas. Barry Switzer over on the Dallas sideline in the sunshine at the moment.
By the offense, the left guard, the penalties decline, brings up fourth down.
That happens on the screen pass where the offensive lineman gets downfield early. On that play, they call that in the left guard. It would be Nate Newton.
And so the Cowboys, John Jett will be back to punt. Rob Carpenter back deep for the Eagles. It's hard to tell what the wind is doing because it swirls so in this circular stadium. That usually is what it does.
And I'll tell you the other thing, the football is not going to be easy to kick today because it's going to be hard.
It will be hard. You'll need to compress it. That looked like it came off the side of Jett's foot. Carpenter.
Looked like he kicked a brick.
Yeah. Bill Bates down to make the stop. 37-yard punt, 6-yard return. Rodney Peete will start at quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. In front of him, Brooks, McIntyre, McKenzie, Boatswain, and Davis. Ricky Waters, James Saxon will open at fullback. Fred Barnett, Calvin Williams wide, and Ed West is the tight end. Rodney Peete, who last year was with the Cowboys. He has emerged here in Philadelphia as the starter, replacing Randall Cunningham. First and 10 at the Cowboy 47. Water inside the 45, about the 43. Here's the Dallas defense. Leon Lett at defensive end, Chad Hennings and Russell Maryland inside, Tony Tolbert outside. Lett in place of Haley. Godfrey Miles in the middle, replacing Robert Jones. Smith and Edwards outside him. In the secondary, Deion Sanders, Brock Marion, Darren Woodson, and Larry Brown. 4 wide receivers for the Eagles. Waters. Close to a first down, about a yard shy, stopped by Brock Marion.
Yeah, that's not a bad move by the Eagles here, Pat, to put in extra wide receivers, and that makes the Cowboys go to extra defensive backs, and then that kind of spreads everything out, and then you can run the trap in there. You see Guy McIntyre, 62, he just pulls. You get that whole defense spread out, then all you kind of have to do is get one guy blocked in there, and you can pick up a few yards.
They'll measure.
You see, here's what they do by going to 3 wide receivers. You see, now the Cowboys have to go to the extra defensive backs, and then what they do is they loosen up. See, so you just have the 4 linemen here, and then you have a loose front to run against. So you have 5 defensive backs in there, and then all you have to do is get a block or 2 at the point of attack, and you can pick up those 5 or 6 yards.
3rd and about 6 inches. And the Eagles go with 2 tight ends.
That's kind of quarterback sneak distance usually.
Rodney Peets, the quarterback. Waters. He got the first down, and that's about all. They needed about 6 inches. He got about 7.
Yeah, that's why you like to have a big tailback, you know, a powerful tailback that, like Ricky Waters, is like 220 pounds. So he not only has that elusiveness of a tailback, but when you get in that short yardage, he has that power to pick up the first down, because initially, if you watch him come in here to the right side, he doesn't have it right there. But he keeps those legs driving, and then just in the act of falling down, he picks up the first down.
They're at the Dallas 36. Pete throws left. Pass caught by Calvin Williams, who steps out of bounds. Larry Brown, the defender, but about a 6-yard gain.
Ricky Waters was saying yesterday that he calls this the Northeast version of the West Coast offense. And Ray Rhodes said, though, when he first came here, that he knew that they had to build a running game, because he said when you get in November and December and you're in the Eastern Division, you better not be trying to pass every down.
That was always Bill Parcells' theory when he was with the Giants. Waters straight ahead, and that surge gets him down near another first down.
I tell you, the surge was by Ricky Waters, but it was also by his guard, Guy McIntyre. If you see McIntyre, he's going to be the left guard right here, and he gets a little push in there too. You see him pull right there. Now watch 62. You see him get the push. In fact, he put his guy, that was Godfrey Miles, he puts him right on his back. Watch 62 pull. Boom, whap, drive the legs. That's a decleater. The first thing that hit the ground was the back of his head.
Charlie Garner, the speed back, gets the carry. Playing with a broken thumb, doesn't get much as Darren Smith stacked up the play.
You look at Guy McIntyre on this first drive. He's been the MVP of this first drive.
Gotten some great blocks.
I know it. On all those blocks that Ricky Waters was running, it's Guy McIntyre. And, you know, he's been doing that for 12 years. Remember, for years he was with the 49ers, and then he went to the Green Bay Packers, and now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Ray Rhodes knew Guy McIntyre well. Ricky Waters knows Guy McIntyre well.
Offensive lineman moved, and Leon Lett saw that movement and jumped.
Leon Lett said he talked to Charles Haley yesterday, and Charles told him, don't bull rush every play.
Prior to the snap by the offense, number 80. 5-yard penalty, it remains second down.
Reggie Johnson. There's Ray Rhodes, the new head coach of the Eagles, his NFL career. Defensive coordinator with Green Bay. long time with San Francisco, 5 Super Bowl rings, played with the Giants, both offense and defense. He says if my players are going to get muddy, I'm going to get muddy with them.
He'll be right down there with him. He's the kind of guy that is that kind of coach, and he was that way as an assistant too.
Pete. Godfrey Miles knocked it down, had a chance at an interception.
I don't know that Rodney Peete saw Godfrey Miles. If you look at him here, he's going to be in a zone. Now he has this zone right here, so you're going to watch Godfrey Miles come out and get to a zone. You see, he's not playing a man-to-man. You see, he sees pass, just drops right into his zone, and in doing so, in that zone, that takes the slant away.
3rd and 13. 2 tight ends. Pete back to throw. Pass is caught by Calvin Williams right at the 25-yard line. They're in field goal range for Gary Anderson. Not nearly enough for a first down. The defense for Dallas holds. They were concerned with the loss of Haley, the loss of Jones, the middle linebacker, other injuries and depletions in the secondary. They were really concerned about their defense, the Cowboys.
Yeah, and they should be, and you know, because they were beaten and exposed last week by the Redskins, and they had a tough time against the run, and they're going to have a tough time against the run today.
Anderson, 42 yards out, has got it, and the Eagles take the lead, 3-0. First time they had the ball. Philadelphia, and bags of ice we don't need. It is cold in the city of brotherly love.
I would think as cold as it is, if you just put some water out there, it would turn to ice, wouldn't it?
It certainly would.
You know, the other thing that I wonder today, you know how the Cowboy line always sweats, and we always check, you know, the back of their pants. I wonder if it ever gets to be a degrees, like you get none degrees, if you can still sweat.
Well, if you do, it would make
freeze.
Running difficult. Because you'd freeze, you're right. That's Kevin Williams at the 10. Williams nailed at about the 28 by James Willis.
I wonder when these guys make a hit, they celebrate so much, you wonder where they're going. I mean, like they run off to the side. I don't know what that's all about. Now, that used to be just part of playing. You just went down and make a tackle.
That's what you're supposed to do, isn't it?
What's this all about?
Philadelphia, the Eagles leading the Cowboys 3-0. We're in the first quarter. 8:40 left to play in the first, and Deion Sanders in at wide receiver for the Cowboys. He goes left. Michael Irvin comes right.
And Mark McMillan goes out there with Deion Sanders.
Emmett Smith gets the carry. Out to about the 32, tripped up by William Fuller.
Well, then Deion Sanders is going off now. He has one play. The first play, he comes in. Everyone's watching, pointing. Deion's in there.
Yeah.
Who's going to take Deion? McMillan goes from left to right, the whole thing, and they run the ball up the middle.
I wasn't watching him. Did he get a key block?
No, he didn't get any block. He just kind of jogged about 1/4 speed off the line of scrimmage and stood and watched the run.
2nd and 7. That's Novacek, the move man. Emmett Smith, the ball carrier. Right now for a McDonald's game break. Let's send you back to our studio and JB in Hollywood.
Hey, Pat, 49ers making an early statement. Jerry Rice actually dropped a touchdown pass on the previous play. Young goes to another weapon. Derek LaVille, 4-yard touchdown pass. San Fran up 7-0 early in the first. Back to Pat and John.
Remember when those two teams first played, John? Carolina and San Francisco. Out in San Francisco's home, Carolina won.
And that was talk about a surprise. There's no one that saw that one coming. Of course, Steve Young wasn't the quarterback then.
That's very true. Aikman to throw it. Now he's going to take off. And Aikman will have the first down at the 40. Daniel Stubbs chased him down. That's something that Troy Aikman hoped not to have to do.
Yeah, because he has 2 bad knees, and he has 2 bad knees and 2 bad calves. In fact, tomorrow he's going to have an MRI on one of his knees. He thought it would get better, and it really didn't get better. And he said that he's going to have an MRI tomorrow. But you see, this is just good coverage. I mean, he was trying to throw to the right. He went through a couple of reads, and there was nothing there. And Troy Aikman ran that time about as far as he could.
Yeah,
his legs wouldn't take him anymore now.
He flat said, I can't run. Pass is caught by Michael Irvin at the Eagle 40. Bobby Taylor on the stop. That's going to be a matchup all day.
Yeah, and Ray Rhodes wants Bobby Taylor to be physical with Michael Irvin because he knows that Michael Irvin is going to be physical with the rookie Bobby Taylor.
That's a heck of a catch he made.
I know it. He does make a heck of a catch. Watch here. You know, this is the last play. Here's the one that Troy Aikman is running. And he's just trying to keep his knees on the ground, but he just looked like he just ran out of whatever he had in him.
And down he goes. Something gave way.
I think that run took a little out of him, Pat.
Yep.
And that was just because he really is hurting. I mean, he's hurting coming into this game, and he was just trying to get out there to the handoff, and he couldn't reach out there. You're going to see him come out. He's trying to make a handoff to the left, and you see he just comes out there, and he just tripped over his own guy.
Yeah. Darrell Johnston, I think he tripped over.
Oh, it was one of his own men there, and he just went face down.
Yeah, those knees are very fragile. Aikman back to throw it. Michael Irvin again. Kurt Govea made the stop on Irvin.
Yeah, and this is when these offensive linemen become very important, because Troy Aikman today cannot take a lot of hits, and he needs these guys. He needs Eric Williams and Allen and Kennard and Nate Newton and Mark Tuinei. He needs these guys not only to do a good job of pass protection, but also to get some good run blocking so they can hand to Emmitt Smith and let him take control of this game.
And no push. Coming up the middle. 3rd, 9.5. Aikman. Incomplete. Flag on the play. 2 flags on the play. That's going to be pass interference. Intended for Fleming.
And Mark McMillan is the guy, and again, Ray Rhodes has been on his corners all this week. You got to be aggressive. Last week they weren't aggressive against Seattle. He said, we'll even take a few flags, but you can't lay off and let them catch them.
Pass interference by the defense, number 29, automatic first down.
McMillan.
But you do have to let him play. You're going to see Mark McMillan is back here. He's a corner that's off, and then he's coming back, and now he sees the ball thrown, and he's going to jump it. And they called it. You see that right hand hit the receiver Fleming just before the ball got there.
And his body hit him as well.
But that's tough. You know, I mean, you got a coach saying you got to be aggressive. You can't be soft. You can't let them catch in front of you. Then you're aggressive, and here comes the flag.
First, they hand on to Smith. And Emmitt Smith flashes down inside the 25 to the 23. Stopped by Greg Jackson.
Yeah, Deion Sanders was in for that play again. In fact, he's staying in on this play, and I would think that Barry Switzer told us last night that he has about 4 or 5 plays, and you could see that on the first 2 plays he's been in there, he's been a decoy. And I would think if they have a play for him, that this would be the one that would be Deion Sanders' play, and he's lined up right down there.
Aikman, Emmitt Smith. Emmitt.
I don't know what Michael Irvin is doing, Pat, but he's running all the way back, yelling at his own team's bench. I don't know if he's saying, let's keep running it. Let's keep Deion in there. Let's take Deion out. But whatever he did, he ran like 20 yards back to his bench and was yelling at the sideline of the Cowboys.
Emmitt didn't look like Emmitt last week.
But he feels a lot better last week than this week than he did last week.
Sure does. Emmett again. Touchdown.
Michael Irvin came in and headbutted him and knocked him down. That's what they needed. They need Emmett back toting that rock, being Emmett. Look at Michael Irvin. He is really fired up. But the guy that made a nice block on that was the Moose, Daryl Johnston.
A beauty.
That was kind of a counter lead. He started to the right and led to the left. And Emmett Smith did a lot by himself.
That is Emmett's 23rd touchdown, which is a new Cowboy record. 23rd touchdown of the year. He needs 2 to tie the record. So the Cowboys, good-looking drive, and they lead the Eagles 7-3.
Here's Moose Johnston here, and here's Larry Allen, and let's just watch what they do on that touchdown run. You watch Larry Allen. He's number 73. What? Boom! Right there. He comes across. That's a kick out. Then Moose Johnston is right inside. Then he gets a block. You see one more time the kick out by the guard, the lead by the fullback, and then some good running right at the end. Just lower your shoulder and put it in the end zone. You see that block by Larry Allen? He just ran right through on William Thomas.
Witherspoon on the return outside the 40 where the Eagles will take over. Dallas leading 7-3. 2:55 left to play in the first quarter. It is cold at Veterans Stadium. The Cowboys lead it. The Eagles 3. First quarter. 3 wide receivers. That's Ricky Waters, the ball carrier. Cut down at about the 45. Got a couple.
See, Art Monk is in there now, Pat, and he has 180 straight games with a catch, which is an NFL record. And, you know, he's still going in that streak. Now, last week, he didn't play. He didn't get on the field. He didn't catch a ball, but because he didn't play, that didn't affect the streak. But now, since he's been on the field, the streak is in effect today.
He might be involved pretty soon. Rodney Pete's going to take off this time. He'll get an Eagle first down.
You see what happened there? It looked like he faked the feet first, and Larry Brown was coming to hit him, and Larry Brown pulls up. Whereas Larry Brown is number 24 down here. Rodney Peete sees a big lane here. You see Leon Letters going to the outside, Chad Hennings to the inside. He faked the feet first. Larry Brown pulled up, and then Rodney Peete went head first.
And got an Eagle first down.
Who would have thought?
Waters. Inside the Dallas 40. Tony Tolbert tripped him up. What a good game by Ricky Waters.
Yeah, Ricky Waters was telling us yesterday that he talked to Walter Payton, and he said anytime Walter Payton talks to you about running, you have to listen to him. He said he told him to be a little more patient, that you don't have to get to that hole so quickly. You know, be patient, be calm, let some things develop in front of you. And on that play, he did. He waited a little, then boom, then make your burst.
Waters again. Short of the first down, just across the 35. Darren Smith made the stop. You know, he said also, Ricky Waters, that in college, he lined up deep in the I formation. Then at San Francisco with the 49ers, the 2-back offense, and it had taken him a while to get used to being deeper.
Right, and he's better deeper. I mean, yeah. He's better as a I formation type running back, the way he's lined up right now, than he was when he's offset behind a tackle and closer to the line of scrimmage.
Third and short. Pete fake chase by Tolbert, incomplete. Tony Tolbert, another one playing injured. He has 2 bad knees, bad elbow. He has to have surgery on both knees.
And he was the guy that made that play, though, Pat. You were right, because it was a bootleg, and Tony Tolbert had to keep the containment. Rodney Peete couldn't get outside of him. And then he waited and waited, and then the coverage was there. And if you see, here's Tony Tolbert right there, and you see he's gonna keep the containment, and then Rodney Peete didn't have anyone to throw to, and then when he did, he almost threw an interception.
4th and 2, and the Eagles are going to go for it now. Rodney Peete calls a timeout. There's a guy who said to us yesterday, I thought I could still play. I wanted not to be a backup for the rest of my career. This looked like an opportunity in spite of the fact that Randall Cunningham had been so established here, and he's done a heck of a job.
Well, he knew that the Eagles, you know, at the end of last season didn't do well, and there may be an opportunity. He said he knew coming here that there was going to be an opportunity. He wasn't sure when it was going to be. But he said, you know, at Dallas, playing behind Troy Aikman, he felt that he had no opportunity whatsoever.
And I think he made a good judgment. There's Cunningham, yes.
Remember, just a couple of weeks ago, Rodney Peete had a few problems, and they put Randall Cunningham in, and he played a couple of series, and then Ray Rhodes put Rodney Peete back in, and they won the game.
And Rodney Peete at that point let his unhappiness be known about being replaced.
Yeah, I think this is a good call here. I mean, they're on the 35-yard line. It's really, to me, that's too close to punt, and it's too far for a field goal. And you're playing the, you know, NFC champion. I mean, you have to go after it.
Waters.
I don't think he made it.
He made it. Brock Marion tripped him up. Now that's as excited as we've seen Barry Switzer in a long time.
That's as excited as we've seen a lot of these Cowboys in a long time. They got very excited on Emmitt Smith's touchdown, and they got very excited on this 4th down play. Again, Guy McIntyre pull, and Ricky Waters just has to break it to the outside, and Brock Marion just got him by the ankles where he couldn't get that extra flop for the 1st down. But I think that was a good move. I mean, I think that was a play that the Eagles had to do, and you take it and you run it and you give it to your best guy.
1st and 10, Dallas at their own 35. And here's Emmitt Smith.
I'll tell you who's happy now, Pat, is Nate Newton. You know, Nate wanted more running last week. He wants more running today. He said he was on the airplane coming down here, and he was sitting with Emmitt Smith, and he said, hey, I just want to see you tote that rock all day.
And he said if you don't feel...
Mask by the defense, number 36. 5-yard penalty results in a 1st down.
He said if you don't feel 100%, don't try to tote it.
Right, but here's the deal. I mean, you get a thing like that. Again, Larry Allen pulling. Nate Newton started the hole. He made the right side of the hole. Larry Allen pulled around and made the left side of the hole. And that was bigger than a hole. I mean, that was about 5 holes those two guys made.
It's a 1st down for Dallas right at midfield as the 1st quarter ends with the Cowboys ahead 7-3.
How does it feel to be Steve Young? It hurts. Give me my Advil. Nothing has shown me it works better on aching muscles or lasts longer. Advil is
right now we're at Cole Veterans Stadium at Philadelphia. Completed 1 quarter. The Cowboys on a touchdown run by Emmitt Smith leading 7-3.
And Troy Aikman was on the sideline, and he just came running into the huddle late, Pat, and he came running into the huddle with Deion Sanders, who's lined up down here in the left side. And I would think this has to be a play that he's involved in.
Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt tripped up by Govea. Yeah, I would say Emmitt looks like 100%.
And then he's reestablishing that line too. I think when the Cowboys lost Ray Donaldson,
yep,
that was a bigger loss than anyone imagined, because he had really blossomed into a big part of this offensive line. Derek Kennard starting his 2nd game is going to be a little adjustment for him in there.
2nd down. Smith again. To the 35. 1st down. Stopped by Andy Harmon.
But all you have to do is get in behind this left side. Look, here's Nate Newton, Mark Tuinei, Jay Novacek here, Big Kennard. And watch just how they just take off and explode off the line. Watch when that ball snaps, boom, and they just knock guys right to their backs. And then the first time that Emmitt Smith is touched is about 10 yards down the field. And the offensive line loves this. I mean, this is good hitting weather. This is good offensive line weather. They love this kind of stuff.
Just in motion. Emmitt Smith again. Left side again. Stopped by Rhett Hall. And this is the biggest offensive line in pro football.
And of course, you know, when they get a Derek Kennard in there, then that, you know, makes him a little bigger.
And they can be a devastating weapon.
And there was one of the guys that they've just beaten on right there. That was Rhett Hall, who made that last tackle. You can see this. Look at this. I remember years ago when you never wanted to admit that anyone was over 300 pounds. Now the Cowboys offensive line averages 323 pounds.
We had a coach, if you got anywhere near 300, you didn't know your exact weight. It was always about something. And be checked out.
That could be an accumulation of injuries, Pat. He'd been going head up there with Nate Newton and Larry Allen and Derek Kennard.
Aikman, as the Eagles' coverage is good again, he can't find anybody, has to take the ball and go straight ahead with it. And down he goes.
And if you look at the coverage down here, you see they're going to play Bobby Taylor, the rookie, on Michael Irvin. Because Ray Rhodes said last time he played little guy on Michael Irvin, big guy. This time he's playing big guy on big guy. So you get that coverage along with this pressure. You see Fuller's coming in from the outside off of Eric Williams, and then when he goes to step up, the middle is collapsing on him.
3 wide receivers, 2nd and 11, 3rd and 11, beg your pardon. Here's Aikman. Again, the pump fake, Novacek. It is Novacek. First down, Cowboys. For McDonald's game break, let's return again to JB in Hollywood.
Pat, in Houston, a courageous Chris Chandler playing with mono. But look at this outstanding grab by Hayward Jeffries, corner of the end zone. That ties it up against Detroit at 7. Let's take it back to Pat and John.
Back at Veterans Stadium. Novacek.
He made a heck of a catch there because Daniel Stubbs was hitting Troy Aikman just as he threw that ball, and that took a little off it, and Jay Novacek had to take that one off his shoelaces.
Smith. Emmitt Smith out of bounds at the 13, knocked out by Bobby Taylor.
Boy, did Daryl Johnston make a block again there. You talk about, we've seen him where the guards lead, we've seen where the fullback leads. But watch Daryl Johnston. He's going to be right here. Here's Emmitt Smith, who's going to end up with the ball running it to his right. But watch the block right there. Boom. He's going to take his guy down right there. And look at the hole that they create.
Again, a good block by Larry Allen.
I think, and I said it, you know, last week or over the weeks, that I think Larry Allen is not only the best guard in the National Football League, but right now I think he's the best offensive lineman in the National Football League.
First and goal at the 8. Emmitt Smith airborne at the 5. Govea. Rhett Hall has a sprained knee. They're going to take him in.
And you see what they do, though? I mean, just watch Larry Allen again. Larry Allen starts off there with a big Eric Williams, and they just put their guy right in the back. And see, that's what Emmitt Smith is jumping over. He's jumping over the guy that Larry Allen and Eric Williams knocked down.
2nd and goal at the 5. Rhett Hall may or may not be back. 2 tight ends. Kendall Watkins in motion. Aikman to Smith to the 2. Romanowski and the rest of the Eagles knocking backwards.
Look at little McMillan in number 29, Pat. He weighs about 148 pounds. 5'7". It's always a guy like that that starts things.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, even in grammar school, it's always some little guy, you know, there's a big pile. He'll come in, boom, he'll punch the one and then go out the other end.
Like you say,
Russell.
As you've said often, he's been little all of his life.
Yeah, right, and he started things all his life. He's one of those scrappers. If you're going to play pro football at about 5'7", 150 pounds, you better be a scrapper.
Ron Stone lines up as the left offensive end. He reported, he has to, of course, as Aikman calls a timeout and heads for the sideline. 7-3, Dallas leads. Back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, Pat Summerall with John Madden. Emmitt Smith on this drive has carried the ball 7 times for 47 yards. Almost a 7-yard average. 3rd and goal at the 2.
And if he scores here, he's going to tie a record.
Emmitt is the deep back. Darrell Johnston in front of him. 2 tight ends. Emmitt Smith. Well, no record yet. Ronnie Dixon.
Ronnie Dixon got that penetration on 3rd down. We're talking about a record, Pat. This is the record that he's trying to tie. That's John Riggins. Remember those days?
Oh, boy.
The Hogs and...
Do I? Here's Boniol to try. He's only missed 1 field goal all year long. As a matter of fact, he's missed more extra points than he has field goals. 16 consecutive. 17 in a row for Boniol. What a year he's had. Our Aflac trivia question. Ray Rhodes is one of 6 current head coaches who was an assistant coach under Bill Walsh. Who, the question is, are the other 5? Ray Rhodes is one of 6. Who are the other 5 under Bill Walsh? Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Field goal by Boniol puts the Cowboys ahead 10-3, and we have a very distinguished visitor in the booth with us, Mike Tyson. Boniol's kickoff by Witherspoon at about the 11. Found some room. Flag on the play. Witherspoon got it out to about the 37-yard line where the Eagles would have started. But usually this flag means they'll take it back toward the Eagle goal line. No, beg your pardon. Face mask looks like against Dallas. Nope, I'm wrong again. He's wrong. I'm sorry. Mike Tyson, you can't make that kind of adjustment that quickly, can you?
Not at all.
Hey, well, you were staying at the same hotel with the Cowboys last night, huh? Some of them come up to see you in your room?
Yeah, we had Emmett was up there, Dion was up there, Michael was up there. Man, it was a ball. I had a great time.
What'd they have to say? How'd they feel about today's game?
They felt good about it. They were confident. I told them they had a rough time, but they were sure that they were going to prevail.
Did they ask you about how you're going to do next Saturday?
I let them know. I made it sure to them that I'm going to do well.
Did they assure you that they were going to do well?
Yes.
I tell you, those are great players when you're talking about those guys. I mean, they're not only some of the best Cowboys, but they're some of the best players in this league.
That was a 15-yard face mask penalty, so the Eagles now have the ball in Dallas territory at their 49. Saxon moves up to the left. Garner and Waters. Pete in the direction of Charlie Garner. Mike, you follow football?
I follow the players.
Are you a Cowboy fan?
I like players on the Cowboys.
How about, yeah, and then the thing you learn, you know, traveling around, is you always have to be the fan of the town that you're in. So you're here in Philadelphia, training in Philadelphia, going to fight in Philadelphia. You better be a Philadelphia fan for a while.
Well, that's not true, but I love Ricky Waters.
Well, I guess if you're then you don't have to worry about it being a fan. But I do everywhere I go, and they say who's going to win or who you're a fan. I always say that
the home team.
Yeah, the home team where I am.
Pete's pass complete to Calvin Williams. Dixon Edwards knocked him out of bounds. Look at the heat on Rodney Peete.
This is the thing that they have to get from that backside, you know, and you see Leon Lett getting there. He's the guy that, you know, has moved from tackle to defensive end, taking Charles Haley's place, and this Dallas defense is really going to miss Charles Haley.
Well, they don't really have anybody else who can rush the passer.
Well, unless Leon Lett as a right defensive end becomes that guy.
That's Ricky Waters. He got a couple of yards, not much more.
Hey, Mike, is there anyone out here that you see that you think could be a boxer? I mean, could Ricky Waters be a heavyweight, you think?
No, I don't know. I was discussing that with the guys in the room the other night. They were talking about Hightower, I believe it was, right?
Yeah.
And Hightower House Smith, I forgot the guy that boxes occasionally.
Right.
It was Too Tall Jones. Remember when? Yeah. He was a defensive lineman for the Cowboys. Then he tried to become a boxer, and then he went back to football. That didn't work.
Yeah, but I believe they have to start that at a younger age. You know what I mean? I think you have to just get groomed into it. I think it's very difficult to be at 34 and then you try to compete with guys that have been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah, the guy was Highsmith is who it was. Yeah, he was a running back.
Yeah, Alonzo Highsmith.
Alonzo Highsmith, yeah. And he got out of football and he tried. No, I agree with you. I mean, whatever you are, you have to be that at the young age, and whether it be a fighter or a golfer. Or
because I personally, I wouldn't want to be in there.
I don't blame you.
I wouldn't want to be in there with these
You're
guys.
very wise.
No, but then they, and then conversely, I mean, you would get out there, you could do that, but if any one of them got in where you get in, they wouldn't want to be there either.
I think it'll be disastrous. Yeah.
3rd and 8. Peete chased and hit by Tolbert.
You wouldn't want to be Rodney Peete right there, would you? Because if you add that up, I mean, that's about that's about 1,200-pound a guy. When all these guys get here to the quarterback back here, that's going to be about 1,200-pound a guy hitting them, falling on them. See, there's 3, 3, 3, and then boom, another 300 comes on.
Well, I think basically this new rule they have by protecting the quarterback is ridiculous.
Well, Mike, thank you for visiting with us, and good luck to you next week. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You just think they ought to let them hit them anytime they want to, huh?
Excuse me?
You just think they ought to let them hit them anytime they want to?
Oh, absolutely.
Go after them. Good luck to you.
Thanks, Mike.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Oldsmobile.
Back at Veterans Stadium, the Cowboys have the ball at their own 2-yard line. Coming out.
This is where they have to go to their running game. You know, Troy Aikman has been sacked 3 times today already. In fact, all season, he had only been sacked 13 times before.
This is Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt stays on his feet, gets the first down. He almost maintained his balance and broke that one for a lot longer way. Again, that Aflac trivia question. Ray Rhodes, the coach here of the Philadelphia Eagles, is one of 6 current head coaches who was an assistant under Bill Walsh with the 49ers. Who are the other 5? Rhodes, we mentioned. George Seifert, the current coach in San Francisco. Denny Green at Minnesota. Mike White, the head man at Oakland. Sam Weich in Tampa Bay, and Mike Holmgren in Green Bay. It's amazing how success a lot of disciples.
Breeds new head coaches, you know, and sometimes people will think Mike Shanahan at Denver, but of course he was a 49er assistant, but he wasn't a Bill Walsh assistant.
Under George Seifert.
I remember when Ronnie Lott was playing for the 49ers, and I was talking about the 49er assistants who would make good head coaches, and maybe 10 years ago, Ronnie Lott told me about Ray Rhodes. He said, I think the guy that would make the best head coach on this staff is Ray Rhodes.
Well, he's done a heck of a job here. Deion Sanders in on offense. Aikman looks in that direction, and Sanders makes the catch. Deion Sanders will get the first down out of the 35.
You know, one thing, when you're Deion Sanders and you're the fastest player in the National Football League, they are going to respect your speed. And watch, they're going to lay off because there's no way that you want to get up tight with him, because if he starts to give you that move, you see what Middleton did? He saw that and he said, this is going to be a deep one, and Dion just broke it off. And then after he catches it, he is a great open field runner.
Tell you what, that was a pretty good pattern, but he got hit in the back pretty hard.
Well, you know, Mark McMillan was really sold on the up. I mean,
yeah,
Dion did. He sold him that he was going up before he went out.
There's Emmitt Smith hitting the backfield and taken down by William Fuller.
Now this has to work. See, that can't work. I mean, you can't put water in glasses in weather like this and not have it freeze.
Well, that's in cups, but we knew that.
Yeah, well, in cups, yeah. But I mean, you can't do that. That's why you don't have to put ice. That's what I say. Just put some water down there, and that'll make ice. In fact, I don't see any guys sweating today. I think if you look closely, I don't think that when it's this cold you can sweat. Head
for the sideline and get a bite of water. Second, about 11. Flag on the play. I think Darrell Johnson started upfield too soon. Jay Novacek made the reception from Aikman.
It was interesting that Mike Tyson says that, you know, that he's a fan of players more than teams, and the ones that he met with last night in the hotel, the Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders, that's a pretty good group of players.
Those are players. Yeah, you're right.
You mentioned Ricky Waters, and you know, and those guys all have a lot of spirit. I mean, they all have a lot of, you know, fight in them, a lot of energy, a lot of, you know, get up and go, get after it.
Offsides by the defense, number 94. 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Well, you know, it's sort of like a fraternity, in that the athletes have their fraternity, the coaches have a fraternity, and it's a bond you have in common, really.
And the other thing is you can respect what they do and know that you can't do it, but on the other side, you know, those guys know that they can't do what he does too.
And he's well aware that he couldn't do this.
No.
And he doesn't want to.
And he wouldn't want to, and then none of those guys would want to do what he does.
Here's Smith. Stumbled as he took the handoff from Aikman. And Andy Harmon made sure he stayed down.
There's a good player. Andy Harmon is one of those guys that has a motor that just goes all the time. I mean, he comes in, and whether his team is up or down, or they're in the hunt or they're not out of the hunt, number 91 in the white jersey plays as hard can be played every play.
He weighs 278. I don't know if he's that big or not, but whatever he weighs, whenever he comes, he brings it all with him.
And he has a tough job today going against Larry Allen.
And here's Aikman back to throw. Right through the hands of Kevin Williams. The play did well. He was open. Pass was there.
And remember last week where Troy Aikman got upset with Kevin Williams when he ran a wrong pattern. I think he may get a little upset with that one.
That's his first incomplete pass, number 8.
Because he had, you know, good pass protection on that. He had a good pattern. Kevin Williams was open. He made a perfect throw and just went right through his hands. Although today is not a great day to be catching footballs.
John Jett's punt takes a cowboy bounce and still runs toward the Eagle goal line. Finally is down by Charlie Williams. This Friday coming up on Fox. Don't forget the X-Files. A child could bring peace to the planet or unleash hell on earth. Judgment Day is here on the brand new X-Files, Friday at 9, 8 Central, right here on Fox. Eagles have the ball just outside their 9-yard line. Dallas leading 10-3. 3:05 left to play in the first half.
Charlie Garner's in there now at that halfback spot. Expect to get him as a change of pace.
Well, he's got the ball tripped up at about the 10 by Russell Maryland.
You know, that's one thing. You look at Charlie Garner, you know, he's 5'9", about 190 pounds. But everyone talks about this guy, and the first thing they say is he's a tough guy.
Yep.
I mean, you know, he's quick and he's fast and he's all those things, but they say he's tough, and he's not a little back that has to run outside or you just use on third down. Here the Eagles are coming off the goal line and giving the ball to him.
Ricky Waters now in the backfield, 2nd and 9. Pete back to throw. Left coming around the corner, hit him just as he got rid. And a flag on the play. Just as Pete let it go, Leon Lett, with those big long arms, took him down.
Leon Lett was telling us last night that Charles Haley says, use your quickness, use your speed, use your moves. Don't just play end like you're a tackle. Don't do everything a bull rush.
Pass illegally touched an ineligible receiver on the offense, number 69.
The big
The
cat
foul was lost him down. Brings
goes
up
about
third down.
295, and he can move.
Right, and that's the thing that Charles Haley was telling him. You know, don't just use a bull rush. See, he starts there, and then he gets his right hand, and then he just comes right around there, and he made Rodney Peete throw that one to Harry Boatswain.
3rd and 9. The Eagles are 2 out of 5. Third down situation. Pete back to throw. Passes by Carpenter. And he gets him out of the hole. Good throw by Rodney Peete. A 20-yard pickup gets him a first down.
And he sees Rob Carpenter out there. Carpenter starts out as a slot guy, makes a nice move there. Rodney Peete just throws it where the defense can't get to it. The only guy that can catch it is Rob Carpenter. And look what they're doing to Leon Lett here. They're going to say, if he's the guy that's going to be their pass rusher, we're going to put a double team on him.
That's the 2-minute warning. Dallas 10, Philadelphia 3. 10-3. Pete back to throw it. Pass is caught by Rob Carpenter again.
You know, the Cowboys took Leon Lett out. I'm not sure why. You know, Shante Carver's in there, and I would think now is if you have a pass rusher, you need your best pass rusher in there. You don't have to rest him.
Waters steps out of bounds, stops the clock.
How about that earring Ricky Waters had on yesterday? He had the big one, 2.5 carats. I mean, he had 2.5 carat earring on one ear. Now they're bringing Leon Lett back in. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not a big guy. If you have a player that's a, you know, $15 million player, I think you keep him in there every down. I don't think you put him in some kind of rotation.
Especially when the guy's replacing him's got a broken hand. Here's Pete. Incomplete.
And especially in the last 2 minutes, when in a couple of minutes they're going to get a halftime rest anyway. But this defense is going to miss Charles Haley. I mean, Charles Haley was the best pass rusher in the league, and he was the most disruptive. I mean, he was not only good and would get there himself, but he would disrupt things that would help these other guys get there too.
When he was healthy, he was devastating.
Oh yeah, and when he wasn't healthy, he was still better than most.
Pete back to throw. Lett coming around the corner, got close again. Flag on the play.
Oh boy,
Pete's down.
Yeah, that's Tony Tolbert. They're going to call that on. He hit Pete just right after he threw the ball. Tony Tolbert and Leon Lett were both coming on Pete as he threw that one. They're going to call that on Tony Tolbert.
Well, now I'm all for protecting the quarterback, but when you get in midair.
Personal foul, roughing the passer by the defense, number 92.
I don't know how you put on the brakes.
Automatic first down.
Well, let's watch 92. That's who they're calling here, Tony Tolbert. And again, this is a tough one. I mean, he gets double teamed, he gets chipped, and he's right there. I'm not sure about that one.
How's he going to stop?
No, you can't stop. But they're so, and I think they probably have to protect the quarterbacks, but that one is just too close.
He didn't hit him with his helmet, he hit him with his chin.
And he was right there to hit him.
Yeah.
And as you say, you can't stop that.
1st and 10 Eagles at the Dallas 40. Screen pass coming to Waters. Waters is taken down from behind after a gain of about 4 by Bill Bates.
I don't like cheap shots or shots to the head or any of those things, but it still is football, and you have to let him play. And I think that was a bad call on Tony
certainly
Colbert.
Was not a cheap shot. Pass is picked off by Larry Brown, and he's gone. Touchdown, Cowboys. "62 yards by Larry Brown with the interception."
That was one of the things. Here's Larry Brown here, and he's going to jump that out. You see him looking back. He's looking at Rodney Peete, and there he is. He jumps it. He can either go to hit the receiver when he catches a ball, or he can go to an angle to jump in front of it. Larry Brown gets the jump and jumps in front of it, and like you said, puts that left hand in there and intercepts it one-handed. That's what you always have to worry about, that quarterback that sits back there and baits you a little. I think Larry Brown baited Rodney Peete into that throw and then went for the interception.
Bonio for the extra point. Novacek's the holder. Extra point is good, and Dallas leads 17-3. 62 yards by Larry Brown. The intercepted pass by Rodney Peete.
Against him, the Eagles are moving, and maybe threw one too many times, throw an interception, and the Cowboys score.
Witherspoon at the 5. Cut down at the 25. Alundis Bryce.
You know, on that touchdown, you're going to see a blitz here, then you're going to see the lineman drop out. This is what you call a zone blitz. You see both the defensive tackles drop out. See, they bring Woodson, and then they drop both of the tackles out. So now it looks like man, but you have zone. So Larry Brown is going to have some help deep, so now he can undercut that out. He can jump in front of it because he has a zone playing in behind him.
Rodney Peete to Ricky Waters. Bill Bates on the stop.
I'm sure Ricky Waters is saying we should have stayed with the run on that last drive. I know earlier he was saying they should have went to run on 3rd down instead of 4th down.
Pete's throw is high, intended for Carpenter. Flag on the play. The preliminary indication is against the Eagles.
Well, I think there's 2 flags, Pat. There's one down in the area of holding, and then there's one downfield. So this could be one against the Eagles. That's probably offensive holding. And then there could be one against the defense, against the Cowboys.
So there'll be an offset.
There were fouls by both teams on the play. Illegal hands to the face by the offense, number 62. There was also pass interference by the defense, number 25. The penalties offset. Replay 2nd down.
Remember on this play here, the touchdown again. Watch Woodson, number 28, Darren Woodson. He deflected that ball, so that took a little off it, and that helped Larry Brown get that interception.
2nd down, flag on the play. Pete will go through with it. Free play. Pass complete. Carpenter made the reception.
I think the guy that jumped off sides for the Cowboys, I think that was Shante Carver. Again, you wonder if the Cowboys are, you know, rotating these defensive linemen because they think that Leon Lett needs a rest because, again, he'd been out for 4 weeks before last week. But, you know, when you get the last 2 minutes, I still don't believe
by
it.
the defense, number 96.
Well, Tony Tolbert's getting a rest, too.
Play results in a 1st down.
Irvin McCormick's taking his place.
Yeah, but I think if your best pass rusher now is Leon Lett, I think he has to be in there when you need your best pass rush. I think at some point you have to call off a rotation and say, let's get our best guys in there.
1st down, pass caught by Chris T. Jones, and the Eagles think he's going to be a fine receiver as Rodney Peete calls a timeout with 18 seconds remaining before the half. Gets it to Calvin Williams. Darren Woodson dragged him down from behind, but a penalty down.
And I think that's the Cowboys offside again.
Yep.
I think that time it was Tony Tolbert, but they're having some trouble with that snap count, and whether Rodney Pete's giving them a hard count or changing up the count. The Cowboys are having
offsides by the defense, number 92. The penalty is declined. Play results in a first down.
Tony Tolbert jumped offside. They should be used to Rodney Pete's cadence because he spent all of last year with him.
Yeah, and you know, but sometimes it gets so cold down there that you don't want to. If you stay in your stance too long, you're going to freeze in your stance, so you got to get the heck out of it.
Pete back to throw it. Pump fake. Going deep. Hits Fred Barnett. He's knocked out of bounds by Scott Case.
I think that's the first time he's thrown to Fred Barnett. Here's Barnett right down here. You see, he just runs a little fade, and that's against a double zone, and he gets behind Larry Brown, and he gets in front of Case, and there's a hole there in that zone after you get beyond the short guy, but in front of the deep guy, and that's exactly where Rodney Peete threw the ball to Fred Barnett.
First and goal at the 10. Rodney Peete wants a timeout, gets it, 6 seconds left. Anderson, the field goal kicker, has on the field already. That's their last timeout. Again, stick with us at the half for the Dockers halftime report. JB and Terry, scores, highlights, and choice cuts. That's coming up at the half. 6 seconds left.
You know, had they gotten timeout sooner, then they could have taken a shot. You know, if you have like more than 10 seconds, you can still take a shot in the end zone and then have time to attempt the field goal. I think when you get to 6 seconds, you know, if they didn't get their timeout quickly enough, when they get to 6 seconds, I think they probably have to go for this field goal now.
Tommy Hutton, the punter, is also the holder. Anderson drills it through. That's his second of the day from 27 yards. That one. And that gives the Eagles 6. The Cowboys have 17.
Well, and these fans are booing now because they think that, you know, it's tough to get down there and tough to get close. And when you do get close, they don't want field goals. They want touchdowns. The Eagles have done a couple things. Remember earlier they kicked a field goal. They had a 4th down situation. They went for it and they didn't make it. They didn't go for a shot down here.
Well, as you said, if they had another timeout in 6 seconds, they could have taken a shot.
Yeah, or had they gotten timeout sooner and then kept the one timeout, then they, you know, I mean, had used the one timeout but had more time on the clock, they could throw it in the end zone because that would stop the clock. Rodney Peete was pretty good on that drive, and by the end he was 5 out of 5.
Well, sometimes after an interception, which he had against Larry Brown for the touchdown for Dallas, sometimes you get very cautious and don't.
Yep, you know, and he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but he gets down there most of the time before the rest of them.
Witherspoon takes Boniol's kick at the 3. Down by David Lang. But a good return for the Eagles. They both need to win today to keep, well, the Cowboys would not be out of the playoff picture certainly if they lost, but they need a win today to clinch.
Now this is what Rodney Peete did in the first half. He was sacked once, hurried 3 times, and knocked down 6 times. His offensive line really didn't do a good job of pass protection.
Ricky Waters. And he is knocked out of bounds, pushed out of bounds by Deion Sanders.
Yeah, but that was great defense, not necessarily by Deion Sanders, but all along the line, because Ricky Waters tried to dip in about 2 times, and there was no place to dip into.
No place to cut back.
Nope, the Cowboys had, you'll see it right along the line here. They have the whole line because he looks, and finally he had to go outside. But look how those blue jerseys control the line of scrimmage. See, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. And finally, he had to go all the way out to the sideline and get to Deion.
And here's Peete back to throw. And a holding penalty is going to be called against the Eagles on Tony Tolbert. Tolbert, of course, for Dallas, putting the heat on Pete, and they held him.
Yeah, you were talking about Tony Tolbert and how he has 2 bad knees. Barry Switzer said at the end of the season he's going to have both knees operated on, but he's sure been active today.
Cold weather, maybe.
Maybe that's something to do with it. I mean, you would think the opposite, but I mean, he's been making moves. He's been doing all kinds of pass rushes on Antone Davis.
Holding by the offense, number 78. 10-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
Number 78 is Antone Davis, and again, he's the guy that is blocking Tony Tolbert. Tony Tolbert's been giving him trouble all day. See, Tolbert starts with a bull rush right there, and the thing that they saw in Antone Davis was that right arm. That really wasn't that bad a deal.
2nd and 22, 3 wide receivers for Philadelphia. Pete back to throw it. Leon Lett and Chad Hennings put the heat on him. The pass is caught by Reggie Johnson. He did a good job to get it upfield.
And I don't know if Chad Hennings hurt himself or if he was just upset because he missed him. But Chad Hennings got in there, and it looked like he, in reaching for him, and just watch Chad Hennings here. He's going to get penetration, and he just starts on the outside. He starts on a stunt, and he just splits the guard and the tackle. He missed Pete the first time, and he buried his helmet in him the second time.
3 wide receivers again on 3rd down. No blitz, 4-man rush, screen pass to Waters. Ricky Waters fights outside the 40, but the Eagles will have to punt. That brings up a 4th down.
Yeah, and they're taking advantage of Leon Lett, you know, and they're, because they know that they got a new guy there, that they know that they got a pass rusher there. When you start getting a big pass rush on that side, you throw a screen to his side.
Tony Tolbert helping Leon Lett to his feet and then off the field.
He's telling him to hurry up, because one thing the Eagles do is they don't huddle up for their punt coverage. They just run out there and punt the ball.
Deion Sanders deep along with Kevin Williams.
And off this, of course, the Cowboys will have some tricks somewhere to get the ball to Deion Sanders.
Hutton, left-footed punter. They say get away from it. And the Eagles down it at the Cowboy 30. The fact that Sanders was back there affects the punter as well as the whole punt return situation. They try to shy away from him. Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Dallas 17, the Eagles 6, 3rd quarter. With 12:50 left to play in the 3rd. First time the Cowboys have had the ball in the 2nd half. And Emmitt Smith gets the carry, wrapped up by Kevin Johnson, who had Emmitt around the neck.
You know, when you play in the pits, you know, those linemen that play in the pit, this is what they do to your head after when you go on the sideline. I mean, steam's coming off, and you know, you always said you have to play, you have to have your head on straight.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have your head together.
Well,
that's what they do to keep your head on straight.
They better put it back straight.
Well, they're trying, but they got to make it crooked on one side, crooked on the other side, and then it makes straight.
2nd and 9. Aikman. Novacek incomplete. Emmitt Smith had the big first half.
Well, I think eventually they're going to have to get back to that, too, you know, because that really establishes a lot of things. You can see he made 15 yards to the left, 61 yards in the middle behind, you know, those 2 big guards in center, 24 yards to the right. But you get in there behind big Derek Kennard and Nate Newton and Larry Allen, the way they were blocking in the first half, I think they should get back to that.
3rd and 9. 3 wide receivers. The Eagles showed blitz and then backed out of it. And Aikman for Corey Fleming, incomplete. He tripped as he made the dive for the reception. 3 and out. Good show by the Eagle defense.
And you know, the thing that knits that together for the Cowboys is always when they do run Emmitt Smith. When, you know, they have a big offensive line, they have a great offensive line, they have a great running back, and when they use that to get some first downs, then they can go play pass, and then they could throw. But if they just go throw, 3 and out, or if they don't have success on first down, then they get to these situations.
Jet punts to Carpenter, waves, fair catch, makes it. Eagles take over at their own 24-yard line. That could have been caught. To Fleming.
Was that Troy Aikman asking, or someone asking Troy Aikman?
I think it was somebody asking
The latter. You think the latter?
I think the latter, yeah.
Well, you know, the Cowboys need a win. I mean, that's the thing that I think, you know, when they lost to the 49ers, a lot of players used the word funk. They got in a funk, and
still in a funk.
I think, yeah, and I think they were still in a funk. I think they were in a funk last week against the Redskins, and I think they came in to play the Cowboys when they got here last night. I think they were still in that same funk, if that is the word.
2nd and 7. That's a word. Pass deflected, I believe, by Leon Lett, who got his long arms up.
You know, Leon Lett's playing pretty well.
Yes,
I think he may find that his position is as a defensive end, because, you know, he's a big guy, he's a tall guy, and, you know, he can run those inside stunts because he's been a tackle, and he has great reactions on stuff like that, on knocking balls down. He's always had a feel for that, a feel for knocking the thrown ball down.
3rd and 7. Rodney Pete back to throw. Complete as Art Monk takes the hit, stays on his feet, gets a couple more yards. Tough catch by Art Monk as he keeps his record alive.
181 consecutive games Art Monk has caught a pass in.
Is that amazing?
Look at that. Rodney Pete was talking about that yesterday. He said Art Monk's going to play, and he said that's going to put pressure on me. He said I got to get the ball to Art Monk. But you know what you like about that one? He earned that one. That wasn't just some little screen pass or some short little thing.
That's a tough catch, and that's a tough run by Ricky Waters that didn't get much.
And you saw Brock Marion again. He has that broken thumb, and he wasn't able to, you know, get his arms around Art Monk. And Brock Marion's having a little problem back there tackling because of that thumb. But the Cowboys are a beat-up team.
Yeah, they are.
You know, and you know, I mean, they already lost Charles Haley, who had, you know, surgery this week. They lost Ray Donaldson, their center. Lost Robert Jones, their middle linebacker.
Don't forget Kevin Smith. Here's Pete back to throw it. Dumps it to Ricky Waters. Waters makes the catch and gets an Eagle first down at the Cowboy 46-yard line.
Yeah, Ricky Waters found that same area that Henry Ellard found last week and that Jerry Rice found. You're going to see him come in here and just run right across. You come to the outside, and that crossing area right in the middle. If there's any spot that has been vulnerable in this Cowboy defense all year, it's been that crossing middle area.
There's just nobody there. First down, Eagles. Waters. Taken down by Leon Lett.
That time Ricky Waters didn't have patience that he was saying that Walter Payton taught him about, but he did find something in there because he was being led by Guy McIntyre, his guard. And he just left him. Guy McIntyre went to the outside. Watch Guy McIntyre, the left guard. He'll go out here, and Ricky Waters cuts inside of him. You see 62 going out there. You're supposed to follow him. And I think had he followed Guy McIntyre, he would have had a better play.
Second down. Pete wheels it. Incomplete. Intended for Calvin Williams. Deion Sanders, the defender. They don't attack that side much.
And Deion never puts those things, those gloves. You know, he never puts that wrap around him. He never closes his gloves. You ever notice that? The
Velcro. The Velcro.
Yeah. The flap's always open. You're not going to make a living throwing anything on Deion Sanders anyway. 3rd and 5.
The Eagles at the Cowboy 40. Rodney Pete back to throw. Here comes the pressure from Chad Hemmings.
Again, Chad Hennings is having success with that stunt, Pat, where the end comes to the inside and the tackle goes to the outside. And you'll see Chad Hennings here where he starts to the outside and Leon Lett is going to come underneath him. He just starts to the outside, see, and then Lett becomes the inside rusher and Chad Hennings becomes the outside rusher.
Kevin Williams back for Hutton's punt. Flag on the play. Williams going to let it bounce. It bounces dead at about the 19, but there's a penalty marker on the play.
The referees, Ed Hockley, and it's so cold down there, the referees have a tough time with their microphones. Listen to this. He's not even going to talk yet, but when he talks, they sound funny today.
Yeah.
I think his voice is frozen, or maybe his mic's frozen.
Maybe his earmuffs are affected.
Offside by the defensive nose guard. The penalty is declined. Philadelphia keeps the ball, first down.
The defensive nose guard. There's no such thing as an offensive nose guard.
No, I don't think so. Aikman back to Emmitt Smith. Emmitt has no place to go. The Eagles have done a good job, or did a good job, adjusting to whatever plays the Cowboys were running with Emmitt Smith in the first half.
William Fuller did a good job on that one, Pat. He played Moose Johnston like a bullfighter did. You know, Johnston went out there to block Fuller, and Fuller just jumped right around him and made the tackle. I mean, that was some kind of move. But watch Fuller there. He's going to come to the outside. Watch when Johnston goes to block him. So he just pushed him right to the side and then made that tackle.
Lost a yard. Aikman to throw it. Just does get rid of it with a man wrapped around his feet. There's a flag on the play.
And I think they're calling it in the area of Mark McMillan. Out here, it was after the play, and it was downfield on this side. And they are going to call it on Mark McMillan. Usually the guy who argues first, argues the most, and gets the closest to the officials is the guy they call it on.
Yep. In this case, he's the smallest.
No, but he's the scrappiest, and he's the closest to the officials, and he's arguing the most, so it has to be 29.
Pass interference by the defense. Number 21, automatic first down.
He doesn't think so.
No, well, they said, you see, here it is right there.
Yeah.
In fact, that was against Taylor. It wasn't against Mark McMillan. But the guy threw it over here on Mark McMillan's side. But it was against Bobby Taylor, and it was pass interference.
And they had told him to be physical. 15 rushes on first down for Dallas. That's a change. Here's Aikman to throw it on first down. Deep to Deal. Incomplete. Greg Jackson made the stop. And right now, let's return you one more time to Hollywood for McDonald's game break and JB, James Brown.
Hey, Pat, take a look at Ironhead Hayward with his first receiving touchdown of the season. Jim Moore's Saints had one for their last 5 games. They're in trouble right now, trailing by 16 in the third. Back to Pat and John.
Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Second down and 10, Dallas at their own 20.
They tried to throw a post pattern on that last one to Deion Sanders, and Greg Jackson just sat there and waited for it. That didn't fool anyone.
Emmitt Smith hit right at the line of scrimmage. That didn't fool anyone. Andy Harmon.
Well, we talked about Andy Harmon earlier, you know, and playing the run so well and playing all day. And he does that. I mean, they had some problems earlier, but you see Andy Harmon here, and they're backed off the line a little. And you see what he did to Derek Kennard? Derek Kennard weighs 350 pounds. Kennard goes out to block him, and Andy Harmon just took him with one hand and just threw him right beyond him. I mean, when you can jack up 350 pounds, you can jack up some weight.
Third, and Aikman back to throw it. Pass incomplete. And again, the Cowboys are hoping for a penalty. No flags this time, however. Corey Fleming, the intended receiver.
Mark McMillan, he had that coverage all the way. He just ran with the coverage, ran off the sideline. He's still going. But, you know, you have to be excited. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. This is a tough game, and this is an emotional game, and you have to do whatever you can out there.
Now, that's interference.
Well, he did get his hand in there, but that's the thing that helps you know where they're going. You just don't want it to be blatant, but they all do it.
Jet. The punt sails to Carpenter, who is taken down immediately by Charlie Williams. And a flag on the play.
Geez, that was a late flag that came after everything was down and threw that one.
That was a late flag. Going to be against Dallas, according to the Eagles. Let's see what it is, according to Ed Hockley.
It was a funny-looking flag. I mean, the play was down. It was over. Then he came in and just threw the yellow flag down.
Personal foul.
It had to be something that happened after the play when they were down there. How come the referee's the only guy with earmuffs?
Personal foul by the kicking team, number 87. Late hit. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's Billy Davis, called for the late hit. And the penalty moves the Eagles into Dallas territory. The Cowboys still leading 17-6 with 6.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
That elbow, he just threw the elbow there. Then the official comes in and he couldn't get the flag out of his pants.
This is Ricky Waters running right. And again, this is the Northeast version. Here we go again, the penalty.
Okay, now watch the official, why it was so late. You see, Billy Davis did it early, but the official didn't come in and throw it until seconds later. But the flag was buried so far in his pants that he couldn't find it. And by the time he could finally find the flag, you thought, what the heck, how come it's so late?
2nd and 2. Waters. First down. Inside. Fumble, but late. He was down.
Yeah, they're all pointing to the ground, pointing to the ground. Again, a good block by Guy McIntyre. One thing about Ricky Waters, he's been with Guy McIntyre. We talked about that before, and he really follows him and goes well off his block. Watch Guy McIntyre here. See 62 right there. Boom, when he makes contact there, that is just enough for Ricky Waters to cut off from.
1st and 10 Eagles. Waters going to bring it back this way. Flag on the play already. And Waters has that ability. Another flag on the play.
You know, when a guy runs that long for that many yards and you see flags in the play, they're usually against his team for stuff like clips and stuff. The first guy that really played it well was Leon Lett. See Russell Maryland down there.
He might have been one of the players who was clipped.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you start running like that, then it starts to look like a punt or kickoff return. We see so many penalties on that. You know, that open field blocking and angles, and you can't block below the waist, or if a guy turns, you can't block from behind.
It's rare you see a play like that turned into much. I recall one by Marcus Allen in the Super Bowl.
Yep, we did that.
Yep, in Tampa.
The Redskins and the Raiders. But the first guy, I mean, the guy that played that well was Leon Lett.
Only one foul on the play, tripping by the offense, number 22. The 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Call against James Saxon. Russell Maryland is the injured Cowboy, and they're still looking at Russell. He's had a bad knee.
You know, here's a guy who really makes the play, though, because it was supposed to be a run. And you see Leon Lett hold the hole there.
Yep.
There's no place for him to run.
Yep.
Leon Lett doesn't let him get to the outside. Brown gets up. Then you're going to see Russell Maryland get it right there. All that work, and you get a penalty and go backwards. They're still in the process of getting Russell Maryland off the field.
Yep. They're running out of tackles. Leon Lett probably and did move back inside. And Shante Carver will play defensive end.
Yeah, and that's a loss right there. I mean, Russell Maryland was playing very well inside, and I thought Leon Lett was playing well and feel comfortable outside.
1st and 20. Pass is out to Calvin Williams. Not much there. Out of bounds. Trying to set up a quick screen to the flanker. Darren Woodson read it.
And the fans booth, they don't like that. They don't like those passes that go for minus yardage.
Who does?
Well, if it's on first down, it's not that bad. I mean, the real bad ones are when you have third down and 3rd and 5 to me, and you throw a 3-yard pass.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. 2nd and 21. Here's Rodney Peete. Pressure up the middle. He takes off. And is herded out of bounds. Stops the clock. Out of bounds at about the 34.
Again, Rodney Peete comes back. He's going to get a rush, but there's no one open right now. You see, he's looking. He's ready to throw, and he doesn't have anyone open. And then when he did that, he looked at his left, and who did he see? But he saw Bill Bates coming on a blitz.
Yeah.
So when he looked back there to see if he had anything to his left, he saw number 40. So he said, now I better get the heck out of here, and that's what forced him to run to the right.
3rd and 12, 3 wide receivers. Here's Peete. Good protection this time, and he gets the ball up to Calvin Williams. Not enough for a first down, but maybe close enough for an Anderson field goal shot.
Boy, did Leon Lett give Rodney Peete a shot as he threw that one. Again, Leon Lett moved to this tackle. That's Russell Maryland's tackle. So his normal tackle is right tackle, and he moved. And you see that shot that he gives him there? And when you're that big, I mean, when you weigh, like Leon Lett weighs 300 pounds, and he's 6'6", and you bring all that down, that's going to make the other guy go backwards.
You know, at 6'6" and 300, he looks lean. Timeout by the Eagles. They'll have 2 left now. (17-6) Dallas. 4th down Eagles at the Dallas 33-yard line, or about the 30, I beg your pardon.
Now if they were to kick a field goal, there would be a 47-yard field goal. Gary Anderson's longest this year is 43,
and he'd be against the wind.
And so, that's probably something they decide before the game. I mean, they kick on both ends of the field and decide his distance, going this way. And I'm sure that they knew that this isn't within his distance, because it didn't look like the Eagles even considered that. But they don't have this situation straightened out. They come up with a play, and then they took time out, and then they put it back in, and then they had another guy run on the field, and now they finally got it straightened out.
They need 8 yards for the first, and Peete back to throw it. Ducks under Leon Lett. Rodney Peete takes off, and he's got the first down. They had him, and he got away.
I think sometimes the guys are getting so interested in stripping the ball that they forget to tackle. And when you rush the passer, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that he doesn't duck under you, and you want to make sure that you get the tackle. You see what Leon Lett did? He went up in the air, and they're right there. They tried for the strip, and maybe if they just got the tackle.
First down, Eagles. They go with 2 tight ends. They give the ball to Ricky Waters, and Ricky gets about 3.
That was a big play by Rodney Peete. I mean, he knew exactly how many yards he needed. He saw a lane, and there was no one in that lane, and he just ran and put his head down and got that first down.
Under 3 minutes left now in the 3rd quarter. The Cowboys 17, the Eagles 6. Second, they need about 5.
This is where they need a big play from Ricky Waters down in this area. If not this down, in one of these downs.
He gets the carry. He's into the secondary. It'll be 1st and goal, Eagles. Brock Marion came up to make the stop.
Or maybe they need 2 big plays when they get down in this area from Ricky Waters. That was one. I mean, if you got a great player, you're giving him a lot of money. These are the situations. These are the downs. These are when you need him. This is when you feed him. This is when he has to make plays.
And he did a good job, Ricky Waters did, of setting up a block on Chad Henning by Guy McIntyre again. the 5. About the 3.
Yeah, I agree with this. I think you just keep feeding the ball to Ricky Waters. Because he's a guy, I mean, he is a guy that wants to be the guy. And if you want to be the guy, you got to want the ball.
And don't you think he gets better the more he gets it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the tougher the situation, I think the more competitive the situation, the better he gets.
2nd and goal.
I mean, big players make big plays in big games.
At the 3. 3 tight ends. Waters. Close.
They're not going to give it to him. They didn't signal touchdown.
Nope. Like about 2/3 of a yard out.
Yep. You see that right foot? He got the right foot marker. Again, Guy McIntyre got knocked off. Guy McIntyre was going to pull from the offside and be his lead blocker. The Cowboys' penetration knocked him off, and he didn't get there. Now, you see the ball cross the plane, but it's when your knee goes down where the ball is.
3rd and goal at the 1-foot line. Waters. Touchdown, Philadelphia. The Eagles move closer. 17-12. Let's see if they go for 2.
They are going for 2. Look at that guy. He's pumped up. I'd put him in there. Hand him the ball. He'd get you 2. One thing about this crowd, they hate the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't going to be denied. Everyone wants to get low. Offense get low. Defense get low. Running back get low. Get behind those shoulder pads. There was no doubt that that one was a touchdown.
This will be a 2-point effort. That would make it 17-14 if they are successful. Pete back to throw it. They got the 2. Fred Barnett. There are those guys.
There's those guys you were talking about. And we knew we'd find. We're talking about them at halftime. They have to be there. Maybe they were waiting for an Eagles to score a touchdown and a 2-point play. Now they're within a field goal to tie him.
17-14. Here's a 2-point attempt.
Good pass protection. You see Rodney Peete had a good lane to find Fred Barnett coming across on that crossing pattern. And see who was covering him?
Yep.
He beat Deion Sanders. And sometimes you think that, you know, everyone wants to stay away from Deion. I think the key is you stay away from Deion Sanders deep. But I don't know that you stay away from Deion Sanders on crossing patterns.
Deep and outside, stay away.
That was pretty good. Fred Barnett running that crossing pattern on Deion Sanders. But again, the protection was excellent that gave Rodney Peete that lane to throw the ball into Fred Barnett. Here it is. We'll see up here. Here's going to be the crossing pattern. And we're going to see the lane is going to be to the right. You see Fred Barnett just starts across. Deion Sanders really wasn't picked. I mean, the official was there, but he kind of slowed up a little on that.
Kevin Williams still going midfield and in Eagle territory at the 47. Dallas takes over in good shape.
Yeah, and that kick didn't go very far, and that explains why they wouldn't even think of going for a field goal when they were on the 30-yard line.
The Philadelphia scoring drive, 11 plays, 46 yards. Ricky Waters scored it on a 1-yard run. He carried it 7 times in that drive. The Cowboys 1st and 10.
And Ricky Waters is the kind of guy that thrives on that. I mean, he always has it. You know, feed me the ball, feed me the ball, give me the ball.
He wants a major role. So does this guy, Emmitt Smith.
And that's what I think the Cowboys have to do now, Pat, is come right back here with a heavy dose of Emmitt Smith.
Well, they'll have that dose coming in the other direction.
Watch now, that's a double team. And when you get Derek Kennard and you get Larry Allen on you, you're going to end up down.
Right where he is.
I mean, Larry Allen has a defensive attitude. I mean, he's one of those guys that's a tough guy, and he plays offensive line the way defensive linemen play.
That's the end of the third quarter. They'll change direction with Dallas leading by 3 and a quarter to play.
These are terrible.
17-14, Pat Summerall, John Madden, as we have one more quarter to go. The Dallas offense, well, it hadn't done well. Didn't do well third quarter. Smith 7 rushes, 7 yards. Aikman 0 out of 5, 0 for 5.
And conversely, the Eagle defense has really tightened up in that area because Emmitt Smith started running, and they've really shut that run down.
That's where the credit should go. Here's Emmitt, tackled in the backfield, hit in the backfield by William Thomas. He came off the corner.
Yep, they started playing more aggressively on those corners. They started getting more penetration. And you're going to see, here's William Thomas here. They're going to run to this side. And instead of waiting and playing here, he comes and plays over on this side of the ball. See, when the ball snapped, boom, he comes right now. And when Emmitt Smith gets that ball, William Thomas is there waiting for him.
Ran right past Larry Allen's block. He was pulling. 3rd and 7. Kevin Williams in motion. Here's Aikman. Novacek bounced off his shoulder. Covered by a linebacker.
And Bill Romanowski was running all the way with Novacek. That's one thing about Ray Rhodes. He's always done that as a defensive coach. He will put linebackers on tight ends and have them cover them man for man.
Oh, he did deflect it. It didn't hit Novacek. I thought it did.
He ran for man-to-man from the line of scrimmage.
He has a phrase. He tells his defenders, you're accountable if he comes in this area. Ball takes an Eagle bounce, and they down it. The Cowboys do. Darren Smith downed it, and the Eagles will take over at their own 21. A 23-yard punt by Jet.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, where safety, reliability, performance, and value are never optional. By Dockers Flat Front Khakis, proud makers of nice pants. And by Intel, the world's leading maker of microprocessors.
With John Madden, Pat Summerall back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Eagle ball at their own 20. Dallas leading 17-14. 14 minutes left to play. Pete to Waters. Ricky Waters gets out to about the 24 right now. Again, for McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
Hey, Pat, Herman Moore, number 84 at 6'3", defended by 6-foot Chuck Cecil. Moore wins the jump ball for his 14th touchdown reception of the season. Lions by 14 over Houston. Take it back to Pat and John.
It's 17-14 at Veterans Stadium. Eagles have the ball, 2nd and 6 at their own 25. Waters was the man in motion. Pete dropped the ball. And let's see as they unstack who came up with it.
I think
Cowboys, Leon Lett. Rodney Pete, I didn't see anybody hit it. He just dropped it.
No, he did just drop it. You're right. He was just going back, and he drops the ball. It looked like he was coming back. You see, he has the ball up there, and as he goes to bring it back to throw it, the ball just goes out the back door. And there's Leon Lett ready to get the fumble.
And so it's a first down Cowboys after that turnover. The second by the Eagles at their 15, at the Eagle 15.
Isn't that something? I mean, he's just dropping back. He got on that three-step drop. He got on that 3rd step, brought the ball back to cock it, to throw it, and it just went right out the back.
2 tight ends for Dallas. Emmitt Smith. Emmitt to the 10.
I'll say this, Leon Lett is planning to play right end, right defensive tackle, And then when Russell Maryland got hurt, he played left defensive tackle, and he has played like heck today. He really has. I mean, he has been in that Philadelphia Eagle defensive, offensive backfield all day.
As you say, when it comes time for good players, maybe great players, to step up, they do.
That's why I would think that they would feed the ball to Emmitt Smith on this drive.
2nd and 6. Again, it's Emmitt. Down inside the 10, looks like about the 7.
Yeah, I think Big Nate looks better in the white jerseys. In fact, I think all the Cowboys do. You know, you look at the Cowboys in these blue things that they have here, and they just don't look like the Cowboys.
It just doesn't look like it's all one piece.
Now that 6 and 1 in front of Nate's a little too small there. He's stretching that 1 out a little, isn't he?
Well, the 6 is not doing too well either.
Yeah, but that 1's in big trouble.
3rd and 3. Emmitt again, or does he throw it?
I think Emmitt again.
To Darrell Johnston, who's down just outside the 5.
This is going to be an interesting spot here, whether it's a first down or not. This is going to be very interesting. And then if it's not a first down, then what do the Cowboys do?
Well, I think they got to go for the first, if it's not. But nobody asked me. I'll ask you, what would you do?
I would kick the field goal. I wouldn't want to kick the field goal. I mean, as your coach now, you're hoping like heck if it's a first down. The percentage says you have to kick the field goal if it's not, but it is. So you don't have to worry about it.
So we don't need to argue, I guess.
No. Because then that would take them out of one field goal being able to tie you. But now again, by now getting that first down, now I think they can go back and again start giving the ball to Emmitt Smith. Or maybe on first down it wouldn't be bad because they're staying in the huddle a long time. Usually when you're in the huddle this long, it's going to be a pass play. But now a fake to Emmitt Smith and some kind of pass wouldn't be bad on first down.
Michael Irvin split wide left. Aikman gets to it, and Smith came loose, and the Eagles have it. Came up with it. He's back in the end zone, but he made recovery in the playing field.
The Eagles are trying to say that it was in the end zone. The officials are marking it on the goal line. This is the second time in 2 weeks that Emmitt Smith has fumbled down in this area. There's a heck of a hit right on the ball. Zordich is right there. He recovers it right there about the 2-yard line. Watch his hit there. It's Kurt Govea. Kurt Govea took his helmet. It was in the left hand of Emmitt Smith, and Kurt Govea put his helmet right on the football.
17-14, Dallas leading. The Eagles have the ball just inside their 2-yard line.
That was a heck of a play by Govea,
yes,
though.
Was.
I mean, he was free, and he not only had to make the tackle, but he put his helmet. He found the ball with his helmet.
Pete gives to Waters, who gets outside the 5.
That's always the first goal. Last week, the Eagles had this same situation coming off their goal line. They threw 3 times incomplete and had a punt. And they had a punt right off their goal line. Now, the first goal is to always get it out to the 5-yard line, and that gives your punter 15 yards.
Clock running, 10:45 left to play. Second down, Eagles. Again, it's Ricky Waters. He's hit behind the line of scrimmage this time and hurt his back toward the goal line.
I'll tell you, they know that their line is beat up. Charles Haley's not here. Russell Maryland is out. And these guys that are in there have to play like heck. And again, this is the guy that's doing it here. Leon Lett has really been controlling this line of scrimmage from any position that he's played. And you see, I mean, that's just control there. You just take on the block, you wait for the ball, boom, you throw the guy off you and make you tackle like that. Leon Lett has dominated this game.
3rd and 5. Pete back in the end zone. Chased in the end zone, almost to safety. He got out of it. Outside the 10. Tony Tolbert had a shot at him in the end zone.
Well, I think Peter's looking at him. I'm glad I got out of that one, because that's a danger, you know, throwing out of your own end zone. One is getting tackled there. The other is getting a penalty. If you have a penalty in the end zone, that's a safety.
You were talking about Leon Lett and the job he's done, and he has, but so has Hennings and so has Tony Tolbert.
Tony Tolbert has played better in this game than I remember him playing in the last 2 months.
They're going to measure to see how far Pete got out. Deion Sanders in to return if they do punt.
After you start dominating, then they're going to do everything to you. There were 3 guys that had their hands on Leon Lett's face, and he still got in there to put the pressure on Rodney Peete. He was the guy that almost sacked him and forced him out of the end zone.
Hutton standing back deep in the end zone.
Wait for the whistle.
Sanders and Kevin Williams back for Dallas. Hutton will have a little bit of a helping wind. No rush. This is a good kick. And it's going to be Kevin Williams who handles it at the 36-yard line, where Dallas will take over. Fine punt. Out of the end zone by Hutton. No gain.
I don't know, you know, I mean, the Cowboys just don't look like the Cowboy. I mean, they don't do these kind of things. I mean, Troy Aikman doesn't throw no-yard passes. Emmitt Smith doesn't get the ball and run out of bounds for no yards. I mean, these things that we see, or he doesn't fumble like that going in. The things that we see are very uncharacteristic of the Cowboys. But on the other hand, I think that the Eagles are playing very well on defense.
2nd and 10. 17-14 lead for Dallas. Reverse coming. Fake to Kevin Williams. Screen pass coming. Aikman just hit it on the ground. The Eagles had that one diagnosed.
Yeah, you know that's an ugly play, or a diagnosed play, when Derek Kennard ends up with a ball. When Troy Aikman starts back and Derek Kennard ends up with a ball, you know that's an ugly thing.
As one of our friends said, that's not good.
Watch Kennard when he catches it. He's going to spike it between his legs.
Good spike.
That's a lot tougher job than it looks.
Between the legs. 3rd.
Not a lot of space in there.
No. Play clock down to 1 second. Aikman gets rid of it down the middle, and the pass is incomplete. Kevin Williams says, I caught it. The referee says, no.
Kevin Williams better watch out.
And the Cowboys are going to have to punt.
Kurt Govey is back there. He's the guy that made that big play down there in the goal line earlier on Emmitt Smith.
Williams was open. Let's see if it hit the turf.
Oh, that's a catch.
I think he had that.
I think he was right.
Yep.
Kevin Williams was right. He did have those hands underneath there.
Ball never hit the ground.
Nope, it sure didn't.
Carpenter deep for the Eagles. Jet to punt it. Back for Dallas. 8:51 left to play. Jet's kick is going to hang for Carpenter. And he's got some room. Gets it to about the 37. The Eagles win on that exchange after they had the ball down deep in their own end zone. 8:40 left to play. Dallas 17, Philadelphia 14.
And he's the playmaker on this team. And in fact, his license plate says playmaker. And when you get in a game like this, you have to get the ball to your playmaker.
Ricky Waters to the 40.
And, you know, and they'll talk about double coverage, and they're double covering, so we have to go to the other guys. I don't believe that. I mean, I think that there are guys that are good enough that you can find a way to get the ball to them. And I think you can also find a way to get the ball to them if they're double covered, and you can find a way to get them out of double coverage.
How long has it been that we've been watching Jerry Rice be double covered?
Yeah, and you see right now, Michael Irvin is a leader of this team, and he can't lead because he's frustrated.
On second down, it's Ricky Waters. His sweep left. He is cut down at about the 45-yard line by Darren Woodson.
Yeah, it was funny when we were talking to Ricky Waters yesterday, and he was talking about the Cowboy defense. The guy that he mentioned was Darren Woodson. Yeah, and he said, now there's a guy that's a football player. And you look at Darren Woodson, he came through about 4 guys and passed 4 of his own guys to come over and make that tackle.
3rd and a yard for the Eagles. Clock running, 7.5 minutes left. 17-14 Dallas. Waters got the first. Swans made the stop.
Yeah, there's just a feeling in this game to me, Pat, and I don't know why. I mean, feelings don't mean anything, but this is going to be an overtime game.
Feelings do mean.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't mean like, you know, predictions and all that stuff.
It's cold.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's real cold. These fans are here. The players are playing. And, you know, it's going to go on. And I don't think this is going to be over in 4 quarters.
1st and 10, Philadelphia at their own 48-yard line. That Dallas defense has been tested a lot. Waters gets it to midfield. That'll bring up 2nd and long.
You know, in this Eagle line isn't a great offensive line. I mean, they've had injuries and they've had guys suspended and they've had a lot of, you know, changes and different guys playing. Even within this game, we see Mo Elowanibi's in there now at left tackle. I mean, they've been making a lot of changes, but they've done pretty well in this game, especially in the second half.
They have scrapped all day. 2nd down. Pete back to throw it. Here comes the blitz, but they pick it up with Monk. And Art Monk makes his 2nd catch of the day, and it's close to 1st down yardage. Rodney Peete saw the blitz coming.
Yeah, Ray Rhodes was saying that when he brought Art Monk in here, it was just amazing. He ran like a 4.5 40. Here's Art Monk. He's in the slot, and they get him where they're zoning, and Brock Marion was way off, and so he was able just to run that out and almost get the 1st down.
3rd, half a yard. Maybe not that much. The sneak should be enough.
You see the center, Raleigh McKenzie, number 63, flew out there so far. He's the guy right down there. If he had the ball, it would have been way at 1st down.
This may not be enough.
I know it. Well, the first thing that I saw was Raleigh McKenzie come flying out of there. But he didn't have the ball. That's McKenzie here. He's going to come flying right out. And he just misses everything. He has to miss everything. Rodney Peete is in behind him. I think Rodney Peete has the 1st down.
I think so, too. They're going to measure right now.
The only way he would not have a 1st down is if they got a bad spot.
Today's game, as they measure, is being produced by Bob Stenner and directed by Sandy Grossman. It is a 1st down. Studios produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Doran and David Hill.
I still think these people have to be the toughest people. I mean, the people on the sideline are tough. We had Mike Tyson up here. He's tough. Yep. I think these fans that came here and then sit out here all day in this weather are the toughest people.
1st and 10, Eagles at the Dallas 42. Waters got one man to beat. That's Deion Sanders who gets him out of bounds.
He's proud of himself, isn't he?
At the end of this game, John and I will select the Miller Lite player of the game. It could just be Ricky Waters.
Watch these moves that he makes. I mean, he's making moves and moves and moves and moves, and then he bounces out. He's going to get by Brock Marion right there, and then Deion Sanders knocks him out, and he runs right into the sound guy. Look, he knocked the Prab guy back. He knocked the Prab over the Prab guy's head.
Tony Tolbert limps off the field.
We talked earlier about how he has 2 bad knees coming in.
Picked up at about the 25 by Darren Benson.
You know, that's one way to get good sound, Pat, when you hit the guy that's holding the sound thing. That's a prep. Listen to this.
You'll get some sound.
Well, you just run into it.
Darren Benson, by the way, playing defense for the Cowboys now, is 6'7", 308 pounds, just 21 years old. Ricky Waters has been through the wars. And he gets the handoff, cuts it back for no gain this time, maybe a yard. Stopped by Darren Woodson. There is a player. He's right.
And I think that, you know, Darren Woodson has had to get more involved in this running game because they're having trouble stopping the Eagles' run with their front seven. The front seven being the 4 defensive linemen and the 3 linebackers, so they have to get their safety up there.
This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Philadelphia Eagles and the National Football League is prohibited. 3rd and 8. Pete's going to have to throw it. Back to throws Pete. Passes. Look what I found. Ricky Waters.
Yeah, but it's too short of that first down, although it is in that same area that gives the Cowboys problems. And if it's not a first down, and we know it's not a first down, the Eagles have to go for a field goal here.
Ricky Waters didn't even know the ball was coming. He just found it.
Well, he was probably looking himself to get up beyond the first down marker, knowing that if he's going to catch it, he wants a first down. He doesn't want to catch it and not have the first down.
Gary Anderson to tie it, to attempt to try it. It's 2 for 2. Successful from 42 yards, from 27 yards. This one's going to be about 41, 38. And it's good. The field goal will get the exact length in just a moment, but the score is tied. That's correct. Back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. 17-17 tie. It is cold. Look at the steam coming off the head of the players. Ricky Waters has been outstanding one more time.
And that's the kind of game he loves.
Evan Williams, the ball chased him back into the end zone.
Well, he better jump on that, although the whistle did blow.
Touchback, and there was a whistle. And the signal touchback. Anderson's kickoff made it to the end zone. And the Cowboys will take over at their own 20.
You know, somewhere, again, we talked earlier when we saw Michael Irvin on the sideline. He hasn't caught a ball since the first quarter. And if these things are going to mean anything, I think he has to get involved in it. If they win today, they can clinch the division title. A second win, they get the bye. And a third, if they can win all 3 of their games, they can get home field throughout.
If they should tie today, they still get into the playoffs. Here's Aikman. Up the middle, incomplete, in the direction of Michael Irvin, knocked down by Bobby Taylor.
You know, Bobby Taylor is a rookie that has done a heck of a job. In the first game, they had Mark McMillan playing against Michael Irvin. In this game, Ray Rhodes wanted this bigger guy, so he put his rookie on him, and he wanted size on size, and that's exactly what he's getting.
And he's getting a pretty good job to go with it.
Well, you know, he had his wide receiver. They had him be physical all week with Bobby Taylor because Michael Irvin is so physical, and that was Ray Rhodes' big thing this week.
2nd and 10. Eagles don't blitz. Incomplete. Novacek saw it slip through his hand.
Well, those guys in the sidelines have to watch out. This is good hitting weather. I mean, this whole intensity in this fourth quarter is being lifted by both teams. I mean, these fans are into it now. I mean, the whole thing is going on here. There's some stuff going on now.
17-17 tied, 2:45 left, 3rd and 10, Dallas at their own 20. Push him up. Push him up. Let's hear it. They need 10 for a first. And Troy Aikman back to throw. Gets it out. Not enough for a first down to Corey Fleming. He's saying he was up and knocked backwards. He was up.
Ray Rhodes wanted his corners to be physical. They are physical. Watch Mark McMillan come up here now. Boom, he makes that tackle right there. That ball should be spotted right there. That shouldn't even be close to a first down.
And Dallas is going to go for it.
Oh, I don't believe in this. I think a tie score on this situation, unless they're going to try and draw them off sides, I think they cannot go for it here.
Emmitt Smith's the deep back. Emmitt Smith gets the carry, and he doesn't make it.
No, that's a bad call. You can't do that. Look at the Eagles. They know that call could have won the Eagles this game.
They're at field goal range right now.
Right now, and then all they have to do is run that clock down.
Now they're saying maybe the 2-minute warning ran out.
No, I don't think so. That ball was snapped before, and you can't stop the play in the middle of the play for the 2-minute warning. No, that's the Eagles' ball. The Eagles stopped them. It's their ball.
Barry Switzer is saying the 2-minute warning.
Barry Switzer ought to be saying that he shouldn't have called that play.
No question he didn't get the first down. He's nowhere
He
close.
didn't get it. That's great defense. The Eagles were all up there.
There is nothing there. Now let's see. The Cowboys offensive unit's still on the field.
Well, maybe they're saying that the 2 minutes.
The ball was snapped.
Watch the official on the far side of the field. He is signaling no play.
You're right. You're right. They did say the 2 minutes came up before the ball was snapped. He's going to stop the play before the ball snapped. He's going to say the 2-minute warning. No, I don't think he did. That ball was snapped before he did that.
Yep.
That's not right either.
He's saying no play.
I know, but he has to say it before the ball snapped. After the ball is snapped, it doesn't make any difference when the 2 minutes come up.
The clock has been reset. The last time before we took that break, it was at 1:58 seconds. Now it's 2 minutes.
Yeah, and if that official's going to stop it, he has to stop it before it's
snapped. The 2-minute warning occurred before the ball was snapped. Therefore, it's fourth down.
I don't believe that. I mean, the official didn't signal the 2-minute warning until after the ball was snapped. And if the ball snapped, you don't stop the play for the 2-minute warning. I'm still surprised the Cowboys are going for it again. I think that was a bad call the first time they did it. I think it's a bad call now.
It's fourth, and it's still a foot. Emmitt Smith is still deep with Darrell Johnston in front of him. Same play. Didn't get it again.
Didn't get it again. That's unbelievable. This is unbelievable. What in the heck is going on? The score's tied. You're on the road. Woo. I don't know.
The Eagles will take over at the Cowboy 30-yard line, about the 29.5.
There's no place here. I mean, this is short yardage defense. The Eagles are selling out against the run. They have everyone up. They just read the thing. There's no chance. There's no chance to get that ball in there against that defense.
The linebackers come fill the hole. The defensive backs are in the hole.
The line controlled the line of scrimmage, but still, even that call, I mean, when you're in that area on the field, you have to punt the ball.
Romanowski led the charge. This is Ricky Water. He'll run it straight ahead and let the clock run.
Well, Dallas does have all 3 timeouts. They're going to have to start using them and use them on this series. Yeah, I thought they got that call, that 2-minute warning. I thought they dodged a bullet, and then they go back and punt, and they did the same thing.
Same play, same result.
Yeah, they deserve to lose.
17-17.
We've invested billions to help businesses grow and provided billions more to improve homes and finance educations. We developed special insurance to pay for nursing home care and low-cost life insurance for people over 50. Because at Transamerica, we sell life insurance.
Says anything, they don't have to do that.
17-17 tie. Gary Anderson on the field with Tommy Hutton holding. 42-yard field goal attempt will untie it if he hits. A minute and a half remaining.
Wait a minute.
Nope. Now they blew the whistle. Before, that kick was good from 42 yards away, but the whistle blew before the ball was snapped.
Yeah, the referee did blow the whistle before that ball was snapped.
Play doesn't count.
The ball was kicked before the ready for play was blown. There is no foul, but there's no play.
Ed Hockley's mouth is almost frozen, but Gary Anderson's leg is not.
Well, here's Ed Hockley, the referee, and you can see that they didn't give the signal to play yet. You see, he's in the way of the snap. Now he's saying start the time, but they didn't start it back here. They didn't say it was okay to kick. And he did blow the whistle.
Yes, he did.
Before that ball was snapped.
So there's no penalty. It'll still be a 42-yard field goal effort by Anderson.
And Ed Hockley, the referee, is still in the way. See, he stands there so that you can't snap the ball until everyone is ready.
A minute and a half left, 17-17 score.
See, there's the signal right there.
Anderson with Hutton holding outside 42. He hit the first one, and he hit that one. The Eagles capture the lead, 20-17.
You know, you could feel yesterday in talking to Ray Rhodes and these Eagle players that they weren't sure that they were going to win. They weren't confident they were going to win, but they knew that they were going to come out here and fight these Cowboys today, and that they did.
You knew they were going to fight them tough and hang in there. You're going to be in the mud, said Ray Rhodes. I'll be in the mud with you.
And I think as long as Ray Rhodes coaches this Eagle team, they're going to fight, and they're going to be that kind of team. Because he knows how to win. He knows what kind of players it takes to win.
And Gary Anderson's 42-yard field goal tied it up. This is the last Dallas offensive effort. On fourth down, they went for it.
And then they said that the clock saved them on that one. Great short yardage defense. So then they go the second time, and here they don't get it again.
Same
but watch
play.
this defense. Control the line of scrimmage. Everyone control everyone in the backfield. Stubbs coming down the line of scrimmage and being on top.
Anderson's kickoff to Kevin Williams. Chases him 5 yards deep in the end zone. He downs it there, and the Cowboys are out of timeouts.
I'll tell you, this Eagle team really did something. And you look what happened to the Cowboys. Troy Aikman was only 3 out of his last 13. Emmitt Smith last 16 rushes, 28 yards and a fumble. Michael Irvin hasn't caught a pass since the first quarter. Second half possession, 4 punts, 1 fumble and downs. But again, all those things are part of the Cowboys' problem, but that's great Eagle defense, great Eagle preparation.
So the Cowboys have it 1st and 10 at their own 20. 3 wide receivers, no timeouts. And here's Aikman up in the pocket. Incomplete. Intended for Kevin Williams. They can't stop the game except by getting out of bounds or with an incomplete pass. That's what they just did.
Remember when the San Francisco 49ers beat the Cowboys, and you thought, well, that'll, they'll get them again, and maybe the 49ers have their numbers. Then I had a feeling that the Redskins kind of copied what the 49ers did and gave them the same set of problems without as good a team. And today, I think the Eagles have copied those same things.
2nd and 10. Aikman to throw. Just gets rid of it. Almost intercepted, intended for Novacek. He was under pressure. William Thomas with the heat on.
Again, and it's only a 3-man rush. They're playing zone. They have 8 men deep. So if you're going to get pressure, you got to get pressure with 3 guys. And that first guy there was William Fuller.
3rd and 10. Fleming wide to the right. Irvin wide left. Aikman back to throw it. With time. Incomplete. Emmitt Smith. If he had caught it, it would have done no good. There's a flag on the play, I believe. No flag. No flag. 4th and 10.
You know, the way the thing that everyone's doing is they're kind of doubling Michael Irvin, and then they're playing, you know, like Novacek and Johnston and all his other receivers, his short receivers, and Emmitt Smith, they're playing them real tight so that he doesn't have that dump off.
4th and 10. Dallas last crack at it. They have no more timeouts. The Eagles lead by 3, 20-17. Here's Aikman, steps up in the pocket. Michael Irvin makes the catch, gets the first down. They can't stop the clock, however. Now a minute left.
But the thing they can do is they can come up and spike it, but they only have to get in position for a field goal now.
Aikman's going to throw it. Incomplete. It was in there. Irvin couldn't hang on.
I'll tell you, this Bobby Taylor has played a heck of a game.
He really has.
I mean, part of it is they've doubled, they've given him some help, but Ray Rhodes wanted him to play aggressively on Michael Irvin, and he has played aggressively on Michael Irvin all day. Here he is sitting back here in the zone. The ball is thrown. Instead of waiting, he goes up there and he hits the ball just as it gets there.
2nd and 10. Dallas at their own 35. 46 seconds left. Time for Aikman. To Emmitt Smith. Headed for out of bounds and stops the clock. 38 seconds left. A yard gain. That won't get it done.
Now they have to get the ball down the field. Obviously, they need a couple more first downs. Here you see Michael Irvin. He's the guy that he should be trying to get the ball to. But I don't know that Michael Irvin isn't frustrated and hasn't been frustrated since the first quarter. This is what it looked like on the other side. And he was ready to throw. He didn't have anything to throw to, so he had to come off to Emmitt Smith.
3rd down. 4-man rush this time by the Eagles. And Aikman goes deep to Irvin. Incomplete. Bobby Taylor knocked it down.
Ray Rhodes challenged Bobby Taylor all week, and he says, you have to be the guy. You have to be physical. Bobby Taylor pointed to himself right there and smiled.
I am the guy.
I am the guy. You wanted the guy? Okay, I'll be the guy. You want me to cover Michael Irvin? You want me to run with him? You want me to be physical with him, knock down the ball? He did it today.
32 seconds left. 4th and 9. No timeouts for Dallas. The Eagles lead by 3, 20-7. 17, sorry. Here's Aikman. Pass is caught by Fleming. That's another first down. They're going to have to hurry. 23 seconds left. Clock running. Aikman saying, I'm going to spike it. Less than 20. He does. Stops it with 16 seconds left. Just across midfield.
And again, you would think they're around midfield, and once the ball was on the 30-yard line, and that was really too far for a field goal into the wind, so you'd think he'd have to get it to about the 25. So the Cowboys need a combination of one play for 25 yards or 2 plays, a play, a spike, a play, a spike, to get in field goal position.
There's the Eagle 48. 16 seconds left. Aikman back to throw it. Going deep. Incomplete. Bobby Taylor back with Michael Irvin.
I don't know if Bobby Taylor was a rookie this morning. I guarantee he's not a rookie tonight. Bobby Taylor's a pro tonight. I mean, he was out there. He's a deep guy in this zone. He's been there all day. They've been working on him. You know, the thing is, if you need a big play, you always go to your big play guy, especially when he's against a rookie. And Bobby Taylor has been winning those battles all day today.
9 seconds left. 3rd and 10. Aikman to throw it. Hit by Fuller. Down he goes.
Oh, and Aikman looked like he was yelling at Eric Williams on that play. Woo! What a day for the Eagles.
They come from behind to win it.
There's a pass rush. You're going to see what happened is Fuller started out on the tight end. Eric Williams started to look to the inside, and no one on the last play blocked William Fuller. But what a day for this Eagle team.
Eric Williams turned away entirely. Bobby Taylor and Ricky Waters will be the Miller Lite players of the game. And Gary Anderson gets a vote too.
Well, you know, when they needed to run, when they needed the big plays, Ricky Waters gave it to them. They came in and they said, we're going to put the big guy on big guy, even though the big guy for the Eagles was a rookie.